we need someone that can focus on the business side of our org full time because everyone's at their wits' ends. They're all trying to do their very best jobs, but we're launching like a whole new line of businesses.
Yeah.
And so the current infrastructure is just not feasible and sustainable.
So how long have you been in legal ops for?
Since I went to college here in Santa Barbara, I was a litigation paralegal here at the lovely Price Post Allen Parma, which is the oldest law firm west of the Mississippi, housed here in Santa Barbara.
That is a fact.
Yeah. And so I started off as a litigation paralegal and kind of like grew to love it. And it just kept growing and kept taking on more and more responsibilities and transferred to, I'm originally from the Bay Area.
Okay.
Went into big law in the Bay Area.
And then you were like, I don't want to do this anymore.
No, actually, I doubled down. I was a litigation paralegal for Bingham McCutcheon and then transferred from Bingham McCutcheon Silicon Valley to Bingham McCutcheon New York.
Okay.
I was like,
So you went that, right?
yeah, I'm going to go live my best Carrie Bradshaw life.
Me too.
And it was awesome. I ended up getting poached by this other big law firm, Jenner and Block out there. And I ran their New York department as their litigation paralegal manager.
Oh, wow. So we won't talk about your discovery then.
Yeah. We can talk about all the good things.
Yeah. And then, so from there, did you transfer like in-house to legal office?
And then I went into in-house. Then I started working at Blackstone for their chief legal office. And it was a very small team. And that was kind of, I think, my first foray into like legal ops before it was actually a term.
Yeah.
And then now it's like
a thing.
Every company is hiring for legal ops. And so that's kind of where I've landed today, which my company is trying to innovate their legal team.
Okay.
And they're like, we need someone who knows more than us.
Judy, come sort these guys out.
They're like, we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
And we need you to help us sort it.
So was that like a GC's directive to say like, hey, we need a legal operations person?
Yeah, I think my current position, my GC was like, we need someone that can focus on the business side of our org full time because everyone's at their wits' ends. They're all trying to do their very best jobs, but we're launching like a whole new line of businesses.
Yeah.
And so the current infrastructure is just not feasible and sustainable. So they're like, we need someone to help us with budgets and numbers and vendor management and
data,
infrastructure for our team and like, what do we need? What do we don't need? And everyone's approached so much shiny new things and objects and they're like, but we don't actually know what we need. And I'm like, that's what I'm here for.
So important, right? Like the tricky thing I always find is like, if you look at the classic, like people, process and technology, but the problem is people and process can't sponsor an event. So like legal operations specialists and professionals come to an event like this. And it's easy to look at shiny stuff, right? And be like, oh yeah, you need that. And then you buy it and you're like, oh crap, we haven't like done any of the processes or any of the people. So were you just like, there's a methodology we need to follow? Like how did you guys start thinking about tech?
Yeah, so I have a method to my madness and I start with like knowledge management. So for me, I'm kind of...
spoke about earlier, right?
I know, I was like segue right into this, but I think a lot of like my lawyers at every job I've always been at has always been like, tech will fix this, right? Like AI will fix the world. And I'm kind of like, you know what? If we have bad data going in, no amount of tech is going to help us. Yeah. And if we don't have a good work process going forward, I have no idea where I can actually automate for you or what we need automated or where it needs to integrate with. I was like, if you can't answer those questions, we're not ready for technology yet.
Then so where did you start? Was it like e-billing, CLM, workflow? Where did you guys start?
So I've inherited a new e-billing system that they implemented before I got there. They will reserve for off-camera speak on that.
There we go. Okay.
So there's that I am working the kinks out of. But they're in desperate need of like an ELM system, a robust ELM system. Our business is actually in dire need of like a good CLM just to bridge the gap between a lot of our processes right now for our new businesses.
But you must have a lot of high volume contracts, right?
A ton. Yeah.
Real estate space.
We have one CLM that's in for our real estate side, currently shopping for our new business side because their business is a little bit different. Like we do real estate really well and that system is somewhat working.
Yeah.
And so, if I can find a really great CLM and house them all there, that'd be great.
It's a tricky one, right? Because like, as we help consultant go on these journeys is first, who owns the contract, right? Like I'm in the business typically, so I'm in sales and I'm like, it's got legal stuff in it. I don't want to have anything to do with this. And then legal like, Rob, shut up, right? You've got to own this. We've given you a template. And then I'm like, unlimited liability. Done.
No indemnification, sure.
Oh, sold, right?
Sold.
So, and then it obviously then splits into like buy side and sell side. And then, but you guys do you have a lot of sell side contracts? Or?
We do, yeah. So like I have our whole business model is both for our real estate side, for our tenant side, but also our new business side, because we're developing all these new products that we want to offer. And we want to offer mobility and solar and, EV charging and also
like all their own regulations, right?
And then also everything that you need that we have in our warehouses, we're trying to do to operationalize that. So instead of you going out and buying your own forklift, like we are developing sort of a service system to be like, lease it from us. Buy it from us.
Yeah.
So that's a whole new product line where I need a whole new slew of contracts that are going in and out, either bespoke, packages, single item. So like there's a whole procurement aspect to it now that they haven't had to deal with before. And it's sort of showing the cracks in our infrastructure right now.
So I suppose kind of the first step is to self-serve. Is that the dream?
The dream is to self-serve. The dream is to be able to give my business everything they need at their fingertips and kind of de-lawyer it and be like, here's your entire clause bank of what you can agree to. And if there's anything that goes outside of that, then you can escalate it.
Of course, that's how it should be, right?
But 90% of those are usually, right, they're usually just standard.
Yeah.
It's those really bespoke ones where you want to have the lawyers there, so.
No, it is a tricky one. And how is the relationship with the business? Good?
Good. They have a really great culture where I think they have incorporated legal, which is very, I feel like rare.
Right. Normally like your ivory tower.
They actually do. I think that's that's part of also the push and pull of like our poor lawyers. They're here to do this thing, but they have such a great relationship with the business that the business picks up and calls them for every little thing and being like, hey, I just want to talk this through. And then there's no way to account for that time suck for my lawyers to be like, well, I just walked the business there. I spent a week on a dead deal that didn't even make it as an opportunity into Salesforce. And I'm like, what data point do I go with for that?
Where's the utilization? Okay.
When you ask me how efficient the team is, I'm like, well, they have a great relationship and they're doing a lot of work. But then like the business side wants to be like, but what does legal do? And I'm like,
stuff.
We save you guys from a lot of stuff before you get sick.
A lot of bad stuff. Yeah. And what main things have you got out of the conference this time? Honestly,
listening to other larger companies and feeling that I'm not alone in the pitfalls on some of the same sort of products or same journeys that everyone has been on.
Yeah.
And sort of being like, I have that same problem too. How are you approaching it? And just getting that the other side of the coin for like either super small boutique places or like large firms being like, yeah, I also like have that problem. And this is how I handled it. Or, this is how we launched our outside counsel RFP. You should think about this because we did this and it was a huge mistake. And I'm like, lessons learned before I even get there. Amazing.
You can kind of like shortcut stuff, right?
I don't have to learn the pitfalls myself. I can learn from gurus who have already done it.
Don't tell people you say guru. But that makes sense. And then, because I always think that like smaller to mid-sized shops can always learn from a big enterprise and vice versa, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And there's a wealth of knowledge with everyone that's here who are all willing to share, which is awesome. Like, I think every group I've talked to, everyone's been so authentic and truthful of just like, this is how it is. And don't do what I did. I learned the hard way. Or you should absolutely this way because it was super successful for us.